Hello, everybody. Good early evening, and welcome along to pre-match build-up here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast. I'm Martin, and I am joined today by Connor. Connor, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Back in the watch-along chair, which is not obviously this is my first watch-along of the season, so looking forward to it, I suppose. When I go on with Alex later, but some interest in squad news. As much as there really is none, to be fair.
Well, the interesting squad news, I suppose, for the game of day, Connor, is the fact that it's the same team from Tuesday. The manager has made no changes.
Yeah, which is slightly surprising. I expected a couple of changes. I didn't expect many, to be fair. I wasn't, expected it to be radically different, but I thought maybe Tav might come back in. I thought potentially you could have been seeing Raskin come back in as well for Rothwell, maybe even Fernandez at the back, but he's obviously decided to stick with the same 11 that got the result against Victoria Pilsen on Tuesday, which I suppose makes sense. Maybe it's a bit momentum building. Maybe he thinks just let it out there and click into gear again and see what they can do against Dundee. I mean, if they can dismantle Pilsen that way, they should be able, you would imagine, to quite comfortably sweep Dundee aside.
We absolutely should be able to sweep Dundee aside. I don't even think that should be a question today. I'll tell you what we'll do then, right? Let's hear, shall we, from the manager. Maybe he can fill us in. I've not heard his pre-match thoughts yet. So if we hear from him, he may be able to explain his thinking, his thought process behind the team selection.
Russell, no changes from obviously midweek. Is that a reflection of how well the guys did in midweek?
Yeah, I think they deserve to play. So we were looking at energy, and they've recovered really well, and they look in a good place, the guys. So it's about trying to build some consistency and level of performance and intensity, build relationships on the pitch. And we have a really strong bench to choose from as well. So I think they deserve a chance to try and replicate and improve again the performance from the other night.
Yeah, how important is it at this early stage in the season that you are building relationships within the team?
Yeah, I think we need to find a level of consistency. So we've had moments in games where we've been really good. The other night was the most sustained period we had for a long time. We looked at a good team, and I saw lots of really good bits. But we have to make sure we sustain that for longer and longer in games. So today, give the players a chance to go and do that, and then make some changes as and when we have to.
Yeah, has this week in the training pitch been reinforcing what worked well on Tuesday?
Yeah, so it's been about recovery and then trying to identify some stuff in the meeting room and on the training pitch that can help us yet again. So from Saturday to Tuesday, the guys took in loads of information and really put a lot of it on the pitch, a lot of learning from the Motherwell game to Tuesday night. And I want to see the same again today. It's as simple as that. There were still some bits we can really improve on from Tuesday, even though we were happier with a lot of the performance. So I want to see an improvement again today.
Yeah, how important is it going forward this season that the performance levels don't waver from midweek to the weekend?
Yeah, it's all about performance and us, and then the outcome and the result will take care of itself. So if we perform with the level of energy and intensity and aggression and courage to take the ball as we did on Tuesday night, if we do that, we have a chance in every game. And today we have to bring that. We have to do that. We have to create energy within the stadium. The energy on Tuesday night was fantastic. The fans were incredible. And we have to bring that again today so they can really feel that. And then they can energise the team when we need it the most. So I'm really looking forward to today. It's about what we do, about how aggressive we are, being respectful of the opposition always. But it's about how we can hurt them. And today the lads, I think they know what we want, what they do. We've shown them. And now they have to bring it onto the pitch.
Yep, yellow card. That's 100% about what we do, Connor. 100%.
Yeah.
Dundee for me today is nothing's about them, to be honest. I've seen nothing from Dundee in pre-season and the Premier Sports Cup and in the first game of the season. I've seen nothing from Dundee that tells me that this should be anything other than a doing. And I know we're still gelling, we're still trying to work together, we're still trying to create scenarios, and as the manager said there, get some consistency going or whatever. But it was a comment for James Cameron that I forgot to star, and I genuinely mean this. If it's anything but a doing, I will be disappointed.
100%, yeah. Look, and I don't say this lightly or to disrespect in any way Dundee and go, oh well, that idea that you're entitled to things. It's just for me, it's a simple fact that where we're at and where Dundee are at, it really should not be a contest. Dundee have been so poor since Stephen Presley took over, to the point where he's, let's be honest, probably already under some early pressure, severely. When you look at the League Cup campaign they had, going out of a group of teams that were all in divisions lower than them and being unable to get through that was really poor. And then they get a start to the season last week where they were playing a Hibs side who had played in European competition all the way to extra time on the Thursday, and still they looked very ordinary, and Hibs were able to, even though the scoreline said 2-1, dispatch them fairly easily. So for me, if they're coming to Ibrox, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be sitting here going, yeah, this should be at least 3-4. I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
No, I really don't think it is either. And Scott Hammond makes a great point. He says, I actually believe we won't revert back to type today. Please don't let us down, Rangers. Because let's be honest, Connor, right? There's no evidence, and I'm hoping for that evidence today, but there's no evidence to suggest that we can come out and absolutely thump Dundee and put on a real performance, because we haven't seen that domestically for such a long time. But what we certainly can't do, and I'm sorry if I've started this show a wee bit negative, right? I'm a bit of a bad mood, right? So I'm just going to let that bad mood take me through the whole build up, right? But what we can't do, especially after that Motherwell result, Connor, is revert anywhere near back to type.
No, of course we can't. We can't afford to. The fact of the matter is, and we spoke about it on the show last night as well, and Wilfred mentioned it, we're already behind the 8 ball after game day 1. So you're already in a situation where you can't really be chucking away more points today, because they will beat Aberdeen tomorrow. So I would hate to be sitting here this time tomorrow 4 or 5 points behind them after 2 games. That would be an absolute disgrace for Rangers. So you have to say that we can't be reverting back to type. I don't think we will. I think we will go out and perform. My only slight query on it is I'm not sure how much it will prove, given that he's sticking with the same squad for Tuesday. That means a number of those players, I think 4 of them that were in the squad last Saturday that were really poor and did revert back to type, aren't going to be asked those questions over 90 minutes today. And that's the evidence he needs to prove. I'm absolutely 100% confident that a guy like Lyle Cameron, who he did call out for his effort, is never not going to put that effort in. Same with Cyril Dessers. Gasman, along with a lot of others, didn't have his best game, but he is always, giving you everything he's got in the tank. Ant-Man, again, will be out there looking to do bits. So I'm going, well, at this moment in time, I'm not looking for those players to prove to me they can get off this, because I'm sure they can. The evidence tells me that they will. I'm looking at others around that and saying, right, Jeff Day, John Suter, who's on the part today, Jack Butland, because let's not forget, Butland nearly reverted back to some of the mistakes he made last week with 1 or 2 of the saves that there was one in particular that he actually done the classic Butland spill, where it looks like a simple save and he almost palms it into danger. He got away with it. So that's the kind of simple stuff that I'm looking at going, that's the areas where he improve, because were any of us, maybe scoreline wise, I'll grant you, but were any of us surprised that we turned up and performed on Tuesday? No, because we always tend to do that in Europe, and in the bigger games when it comes to playing Celtic, for example. This is your bread and butter games. This is the ones that should be dealt with. And hopefully we'll see that today. I don't think Russell Martin will accept a performance like he got last Saturday, personally. I really don't.
No, he won't. Can I just say a big, massive thank you, by the way, to Daniel Hamilton, who has become a member on YouTube. Thank you very much, Daniel. I hope that you enjoy all the extra content, and thank you very, very much for the support. Right, quick question for Slipstream. Are Bailey Rice and Robbie Fraser out on loan or just not in the squad? They're just not in the squad. As far as I'm led to believe with Robbie Fraser, don't think it's going to happen, folks, at all. Bailey Rice, though, Connor not being in the squad, is that a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, actually, I have to say. He's one that I was sort of looking at thinking, yeah, this is a type of game. Again, this is because we've got a European game on Tuesday, and although it's 3-0, you want to make sure that you get the job done. And that means not starting sloppily or conceding early goals. And that's why I was thinking maybe he'd make one or two of those changes. Maybe Bailey Rice would come in, not at the starting lineup, but at the squad. So it does surprise me. But there's maybe other reasons going on for that behind the scenes. Maybe Russell Martin just isn't feeling like he's there yet to come in. But I'm sure, unless he does go out on loan, I'm sure we'll see him at some stage this season. I'm delighted wee Finlay Curtis is in there, because I've got to be honest with you, I think he can feel extremely hard done by not to have started any of the last two games we've played, if I'm being honest, because look at the performances he put in pre-season, and even in the game, the first qualifying round in Europe as well against Panathinaikos. He scores in that game, a brilliant goal, and then he scores again a few days later against Middlesbrough. So if you're Finlay Curtis, you'd probably have been chatting on Russell Martin's loan going, any chance, Gaffer? I think I've proven the last 2 weeks my case, so I'm glad we've got him in the squad, and hopefully we'll see him get minutes. But it is a noticeable bench, Martin, for the lack of younger talent that's on it. But perhaps there's a positive side to that it shows we're starting to get a bit more depth about the squad, that we don't need to have loads of youth players. Because when Barry Ferguson was in his last couple of games in charge, that bench was full of youth players. And I'm not against it, but there's a balance to be had.
Yeah, and look, I don't think anybody's going to argue that Gassama and Ant-Man are clearly better. That's absolutely the case. Nobody's going to argue that, but the only way to get better is to play games. So it will be interesting. I think it all depends on how the game's going, to be brutally honest with you, the changes that the manager will make. I think, Connor, if it's going the way that we expect it to go, right, and with half an hour, 25 minutes left, we're cruising, we're in cruise control, I think that's when you'll probably see the likes of Fernandes and Cortez getting some minutes. Yeah. If we're still maybe if we're struggling in any way, shape or form, I think that's probably when the likes of your Raskins come on, your Tavs come on, maybe even your Danilo. But it's interesting because all we've spoke about, Connor, is rotation and how the manager doesn't see a kind of first 11, if you like. It's a squad. So he'll pick whatever 11 he thinks is best for getting into game A, and it might be different for game B and then game C, etc., etc. But his comments, I think, in that pre-match were interesting. He wants to get a level of consistency and a level of performance, and that's one of the reasons why he's went with the same 11, which suggests to me that if you do play with that intensity and you do play with that courage and everything that he's looking for, you can hold on to a shot.
100%. And to be honest with you, I think that 11, I think that is damn as needed to our strongest 11 right now anyway. I think you can argue one or two positions, but the majority of that, most of us want to see Max Aarons be more regular starting in that position, because that is his position in the right back role. Nothing against, I don't have anything against Tav personally, but it's clear he's not at the level he has been at in previous seasons, and you can't keep bringing in talented young right backs and then benching them because you've got to play Tav, or like Dujon Sterling. He was brought in as a right back. Did he ever play there? I don't think he ever did. He played everywhere else. He was centre back, he was a winger, he was a midfielder, so you need to develop them in their proper positions. And I think Ant-Man and Gassama, I said this last night in the show, Martin, if that is our, wingers going forward, on the evidence of what I've seen on Tuesday, and it is only one game, so you've got to be careful you don't speak too soon, that makes me feel very, very happy and positive, because the two of them were electric on Tuesday night. The pace, particularly Ant-Man, I mean, his pace is unreal at times, but I think other than maybe, the debate over would you put Raskin in over Rothwell, and perhaps, Diamandi, obviously with the fact you've still got Cortez, Barron, Dowell there as well, and you've got young Mikey Moore come in. That's about the only debates out there for me at the moment, and I like it. He needs that as well, because I did worry a bit when he said, I can't remember, was it press conference Friday or whatever it was, and he said that, there was going to be a lot of squad rotation this season because we've got that many competitions, and so you won't see the same squad, the same start 11 very often. And that's slightly concerned, because I thought, well, as he's mentioned today, you still need consistency of going, that's my strongest 11. Yes, you can make changes in cup competitions in Europe when you need to, but you need to know your strongest 11 so you can then work your changes around it. And I think that's what he's obviously looking to do.
Is Nico Raskin unfortunate to not start the game, Connor? The reason I ask that is I thought Rothwell was really good on Tuesday night in terms of just the way that he receives the ball quite deep and plays 1-2 passes and gets us out of trouble. He never looks really under that much pressure. So he's quite a good CDM that way, but like more of a deep line playmaker, Rothwell. But I felt when Raskin came on, I felt he showed you exactly why he probably is the best player at the club. Got booked before he came on, and his game's so much about his intensity and tackling and being right up against his opponents and stuff like that. But I thought when Raskin came on Tuesday, I thought he was excellent and actually showed the level above that he is for the short period of time that he was on the pitch. So is he maybe unfortunate to miss out today?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can feel a bit hard done by and a bit unfortunate. What I would say, though, is, and I think Alex has touched on it there in the comments, it's perhaps still a little bit of an ego check for him, because he's definitely one of the players that was being referenced last week. I think he was one of the main culprits as well, for what I understood after, and maybe this is just another ego check for him. Listen, I think it's difficult. I think, you're looking going, can Rothwell and Raskin, exist in the same starting lineup? I think it'd be very difficult, because they're both playing virtually the same position, although they're different types of players. What I like about Rothwell is he's got quite good link-up play. So there's moments where, even during the week, those little triangles or passes and stuff like that will come to him, and he just calms things down in the midfield and gets on it. His finishing touch, ironically much like Nico Raskin, could be doing with some work. But, that's the dichotomy you've got. But listen, I'm sure Rothwell won't last 90 minutes, so Raskin will come in again off the bench. The best thing he can do is go out there and put in performances when he's on the park and prove to Russell Martin that he's willing to listen, willing to do what Russell Martin requires him to do in that system, and go and show that it's not about an ego trip for him, and he is there for the squad. If he does that with his performances in the park, then he'll force his way into the starting lineup again, which I don't think will take too long. He'll probably find he'll start, if not on Tuesday, almost certainly next week against Alloa.
I started off by saying that we should, let's call a spade a spade. We should pump Dundee today, right? We really should. However, one thing we have struggled against, Connor, is a low block, right?
Yes.
It's no secret that Rangers have struggled against a low block, right?
Breaking news on the Rabble Podcast.
Yes, breaking news. I hate to break it to you, everybody, right? But we have struggled against a low block. Last week at home, Dundee literally played every single player at the edge of their own box, Connor. And that was at home against Hibs. So I would imagine we're probably expecting all 11 players to just be standing on the goal line today.
Yes, pretty much. Dundee, as you say, they will play an absolute low block. They will camp in to their own half. And Rangers are going to have to find ways around that. I think the positive is that there's clearly a lot of pace on the wings. So I think Sam and Ant-Man, with their pace, can help do that, because they can get in behind in those wing back positions with that pace and move the ball quickly. That gives you that opportunity. And then it makes you get good service into big CD9 as well up front. 100% you do. But, there might be a requirement for a little bit of patience as well. And I hate saying it, but maybe we do need to understand that if we're not winning by 10, 15 minutes into the game, don't panic. It's going to, sometimes you just have to kind of wait it out. The good thing is that despite the fact that last week they were fairly low block against Hibs as well, Hibs managed to find a way through them twice. And if they can do that, then we can absolutely do it. I agree with Donald. I think that's, we were sorely lacking that last season in these type of games, actually. There wasn't a lot of pace, and there was a heavy reliance on Czerny doing the job for us. Now, it's not just so, because that's a problem as well, by the way. See, because it was so reliant on Czerny, everything was so one-sided, and you were almost ignoring half the park. Now we've got two competent wingers. You don't have to be so one-sided with, and that's going to help because you can stretch that Dundee back line, and we've got to do that. And Tyrrell Dessers as well has got to make sure that he's getting the time in his runs and all that properly, that he's not getting himself into offside positions, because they'll move up as a back line, as a whole, as a unit. Dundee, they will. That's what you do when you play that type of football. So, but I'm confident. And let's see what happens. I tell you what, I would love a wee Lyle Cameron getting his first goal against Dundee.
Well, hold on. Don't jump the shark. Don't jump the shark. A question from Stephen: do you think Suter should stay captain? I do. Doesn't matter what I think or what Connor thinks.
No.
As long as Tavernier's at the club, he will be the club captain. If Tav comes on the park today, he will take the captain's armband because he is the captain, and have absolutely no qualms or issues with that whatsoever because he's the club captain. So that it doesn't really matter, I think, what any of us think if Suter should stay captain or not, because it will be Tav. It absolutely will be Tav. Right, Connor, Lyle Cameron. Let's finish up on Lyle Cameron. First game, like you say, back against Dundee. What tends to happen in these games is certainly what tends to happen against us when a player returns for the first time is they have an absolute blinder.
Yes, that does tend to happen against us. No, but I mean, I am expecting big things from him in the future. I think he's a smashing young footballer, I really do. And we've seen glimpses of it. And listen, anybody who, like me, does actually take an interest in the rest of Scottish football, well, I've seen how good he was at Dundee, and we'll see that the ability he's got is there in spades. And he, by the way, he's a great finisher of the ball as well if he gets the opportunities. He's not really had many goal-scoring chances actually when he's been playing for us, which is actually more to the credit European-wise of the front line. But he is, I think, honestly, one to look at. I mean, listen, if he turns up against Dundee today and puts in a shift and gets a goal, I think it'd be great. The Dundee fans won't thank him for it, and I'm sure the four of them that have made the journey to Govan this afternoon will give him a warm welcome when he walks out onto the pitch, as Martin looked like he headed his microphone there.
My dog just came up and gave me a fright. But I know I'm really looking forward to seeing Cameron today again. I think it's phenomenal that we've got a really, really talented young Scottish midfielder playing in the middle of the park for us. I want nothing more, absolutely nothing more. We've got an older, experienced Scottish centre back as well. 2 Scots in the team. We've got young Finlay Curtis on the bench, young Connor Barron on the bench as well, who can come on. I love it when we've got a Scottish core, and I know that 2 players doesn't make a core, but it's a start. It's an absolute start, and I don't even suppose there's any point in me asking you for your prediction, Connor, is there, just before we go?
Yeah, I'll go for a 3-0 Rangers.
Just playing it safe. I'm going to go 5. I'm going 5.
Wow.
Gasman hat trick. 5 and a Gasman hat trick. With 4 assists for Ant-Man, a goal for Dessers, and a goal for Cameron. That's what I'm going for the day. I would
take that all day long.
See if that happens, by the way. Then I need to start betting on football again. But anyway, folks, that is us for your pre-match build-up. In 5 minutes' time, you can join Alex and Connor on the watch-along. And then we are back tonight. I believe it's 8 p.m. for the reaction, Connor. You normally know these things better than me. But yeah, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Myself, Hamish, and Craig will be back at 8 p.m. for the reaction as well. So Connor's got just enough time to go and make yourself a coffee before the watch along starts. Thank you so much to everybody who's tuned in. Whatever you are watching on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, please do make sure to leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're retweeting. Make sure you're sharing the show. The more shares it gets, the more people that watch, and the bigger the community that we build. So thank you, Connor, my friend.
Pleasure as always. Looking forward to the watch along. Me and Gigantor. So let's see how that goes. Hopefully we get a good one.
Yes, and it is a crap kick-off time, 5:45 on a Sunday. But anyway, folks, go and enjoy the game. For members, make sure you tune into the watch along and watch it along with us. And for everybody else, we'll see you right back here tonight for full match reaction to a stomping Rangers victory at 8 p.m. Saturday, Sunday, what's the difference?